Have you ever heard someone brag about their car having 300 horsepower? Or maybe you've seen a lawnmower advertised with 5 horsepower, or a jet ski with 150. We use this term all the time when talking about engines and motors. But here's a question. What does a horse have to do with your car's engine? There are no actual horses under your hood, so why do we measure mechanical power in horses? The answer takes us back over 200 years to the early days of the Industrial Revolution, when steam engines were just starting to replace the real working horses that had powered human civilization for thousands of years. Today, we're uncovering the surprising story behind one of the most common measurements in the modern world. Let's dive in right here on Simple Things of Time. Horsepower is everywhere. A typical family sedan has around 150 to 200 horsepower. A high-performance sports car can have 500, 700, even over 1,000 horsepower. But despite how technical it sounds, horsepower isn't some complex physics formula. It's literally based on how much work an actual horse can do. To understand where this measurement came from, we need to go back to the late 1700s in England. At that time, horses were the primary source of power for everything from farming to mining. If you needed to pump water out of a coal mine or turn a mill to grind grain, you used horses. They were literally the engines of the pre-industrial world. Then came James Watt, a Scottish inventor who dramatically improved the steam engine in the 1770s and 1780s. His engines could do the same work as horses, but they could run continuously without getting tired, without needing to be fed, and without needing rest. For mine owners and factory operators, this was revolutionary. But James had a problem. When he tried to sell his steam engines, customers would ask, "How many horses will this replace?" Mine owners didn't think in terms of abstract scientific units. They thought in terms of horses. If they were using 10 horses to pump water, they wanted to know if Watt's engine could replace those 10 horses. They needed a direct comparison. So Watt came up with a brilliant marketing strategy. He would measure the power of his engines in terms everyone already understood: horses. But first, he had to figure out exactly how much work a horse could do. He observed the strong draft horses used in English mills and mines, measured how much weight they could pull, how fast they could walk, and how long they could sustain that effort. After his calculations, Watt determined that a strong horse could lift 33,000 pounds 1 foot in 1 minute. That became the definition of 1 horsepower. Now here's the interesting part. Watt may have deliberately exaggerated. The average working horse couldn't actually sustain that level of output for very long. But by setting the bar high, his steam engines would always meet or exceed the power of the horses they replaced. It was genius marketing. Let's look at some real-world examples. A healthy adult human can produce about 0.1 horsepower. A typical riding lawnmower has about 15 to 20 horsepower. A modern family car produces around 150 to 200 horsepower. And at the extreme end, a top-fuel dragster can produce over 11,000 horsepower. That's the work of 11,000 of Watt's strong draft horses, all at once. The term caught on immediately. Mine owners and factory operators loved it because it gave them a clear, intuitive way to understand what they were buying. If Watt said his engine had the power of 10 horses, they knew exactly what that meant. And because the measurement was so useful, it spread to every type of engine and motor invented after that. Today, most of the world uses the metric system, and the scientific unit of power is the watt, named after James Watt himself. 1 horsepower equals about 746 watts. But even in metric countries, people still talk about horsepower, especially in automotive culture. It's just too ingrained in our language. So why has horsepower stuck around for over 200 years? Partly it's tradition, but there's also something visceral about the term. Saying a car has 300 horsepower creates an image in your mind. You can imagine 300 powerful horses pulling together. It feels tangible in a way that 224 kilowatts just doesn't. James Watt understood that people don't buy abstract numbers. They buy things they can picture and compare to their own experience. By anchoring his new technology to something everyone understood, he made the invisible power of steam engines visible and real. It's a reminder that the best way to explain something new is often to connect it to something old. So the next time you hear someone talk about horsepower, you'll know the real story. It's not just a number on a spec sheet. It's a bridge between the past and the present, between the animals that carried civilization for thousands of years and the machines that power it now. One engineer's clever marketing idea became one of the most enduring measurements in history. The mystery of why we measure engines and horses might seem simple, but the reality is far more interesting. It's a story about innovation, marketing, and the way language shapes how we understand the world around us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories about our fascinating world. Alright, that's all for now. Thank you for watching.